What up, everyone? It's your boys at Through the Ropes podcast, Jake, Drew, and Paris. Happy belated holidays to everyone. I just wanted to give a special thanks to our sponsors, Fresh Bread Productions, Fire Artisan Pizza, and Sean and Ashley at Great Northern Dispensary. Some awesome sponsors we have to start this brand new year off, and hopefully we can expand from there. We have a fun guest here. We got Nick Nordell, the big dog Nick. Hey, brother, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Doing good. A little bit of, the post-holiday stuff, a little bit sleepy. It's been busy the last couple of days. So, Drew, how you feeling?
I'm doing pretty good. Healing up from surgery. Had a fun little incident on the road today. Almost smoked 2 deers about 20 minutes before I got in the studio. So that was super
Smokes.
great. Yeah, dude, hit the brakes going 45 sideways. It's
Oh my god.
That's stop right in front of him, what's that? Ace Ventura,
That's awesome.
Perfectly fine. It's okay.
Paris, we had a little busy day shooting some photos, and then you kind of got to chill. How was your holiday season for you?
It was good. We did a few Christmases and did our toy giveaway here at Speaking Socially, and then also I photographed the toy giveaway for Laura Vukasin and Operation Santa, so that was a lot of fun. And I also ate too many Christmas cookies, so now it's a gym and water.
Time to get back to it. Nick, how was the holidays for you and your family? You got 2 kids, right?
I got 3 kids.
Okay, 3.
Yeah,
sorry.
I got a little girl and 2 little boys. Man, they ecstatic. It's nothing like Christmas, man. It's my favorite holiday.
Yeah. Especially when they're young like that. I bet it's a lot of fun.
Man, the only non-fun part about it is them waking you up at 5:30. Santa came. Santa came.
Yeah, trying to be like, all right, give me 2 more hours.
Open one present.
And the reindeer came up and ate all the carrots and left little bits behind, and that was the coolest thing ever to them. So
That's
it was
awesome.
Sweet.
Awesome. Did you get anything fun this year? Or?
Yeah, my son, me and my wife don't do a lot of gifts together.
Yeah.
We give the kids all the gifts.
Yeah.
But this year we did something fun. Me and the kids got her a little necklace with our last name initial on it. And then my wife got me a tool set, and my son thinks it's for both of us. So
Of course. Got to help Dad work on some stuff.
Absolutely.
Hey, Nick, move that just a little bit closer to your face and angle it that way just a little bit, just because you're looking at you. You're talking.
Yeah,
There we go.
big,
Sorry.
strong hand.
There.
You go.
But I just scooted over. Did that work?
Yeah, just make sure it's aimed at your mouth when you're talking.
Cool. Right there?
Just turn it towards your mouth just a little more. There we go. Take that.
There you go.
Please.
All right.
Don't worry, we'll take care of that.
We'll get it for that. No, it's all good, dude. It's all good. Yeah, and it's always, you always want to, when you're a kid, you want to help Dad. Like, fucking hold that flashlight right.
Yeah.
Where I'm looking, not in my eyes.
Yeah. Damn it, Junior.
Well, here's the thing, man. Tryson, he's more like you hold the flashlight and I'll get under there.
That's awesome, dude. He's got the bolts in the
And
wrench.
he's got little hands, so it's better for him.
Yeah.
Those
Absolutely.
big hands, you just get them cut up in any engine compartment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
If you got kids over in other countries working in sweatshops, you can teach them young here too.
Think about that when you order from Tina. But sorry.
So yeah, speaking of kids,
And how grateful we are.
yeah. So yeah, you had a big fight. A couple, 2 weeks out of that now. This weekend will be 2 weeks out.
Yep, this weekend will be 2 weeks out.
Yeah. So you kind of had a little bit of a disappointing turnout. Do you want to kind of tell us what happened in the fight? You were kind of just telling us about it. Just kind of walk us through the emotion coming into the fight and everything like that. So.
Yeah, man. The emotion of the fight. You want me to start from the day?
Yeah, whatever, just with you having to throw on the weight, just whatever you want to,
Yeah. Oh, this fight camp, man, it was solid. I knew we were in for a long night with a heavier opponent. But we don't care. We'll fight anybody. I told Terrell Bracken that. He told me he wants his 5-0 guy to call me out in Billings, and I'm like, well, I'm 0-1 now, so I don't know where that's gonna go. But leading up to this fight, we were solid. I didn't have any of the game day jitters, as they say. I felt cool, calm, and collective. I trusted my coaches. Came fight time, we walked out. Crowd was electric. Thank you, Great Falls. That was awesome. We get into the cage, and an unfortunate series of events happens. I ended up breaking 5 teeth and hairline fracturing my jaw on the way down from an attempted takedown. I got up when it was over, and that was a wrap. So
Yeah, dude.
When it was tough, you were just telling us that you had a clause in the contract because he was how much do you walk around at?
So I walk around right now without cutting, being in the gym. I'm 275 right now. But I fight at 265 heavyweight. Well, I took the fight on a 2-month notice. Guy, they told me he was 350, came in, weighed in at 310 the day of, or 310, 305, I can't remember the weight. But the next day he told me he came in, weighed in heavier than that. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a disadvantage. And then me putting 30 pounds on this camp, I weighed in fully clothed at 295. So
Yeah,
we
just
were,
try to have some mass to
Yeah.
push back against it.
yeah.
That's just tough too, though, because that's a super heavy, and like at that size, it really only takes 1 or 2 punches. And like the human body has limits, and they're hard limits.
Yeah. See, and the funny thing about the fight is I got mad because it's like, man, I didn't even get hit. My coach comes in, he goes, man, you got hit with a 6-piece combo. And I went back and rewatched the fight. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
You ain't lying, huh?
Oh yeah, but when you break your jaw like that shit fucking hurts.
Yeah.
It just hurts.
Yeah.
Well, see,
Numbing pain.
the way I found out about the jaw, I didn't even know it was broke.
Yeah.
So when I went to the doctor, they told me, because I thought I had 3 broken teeth, ended up having 5. And then I was like joking around. I'm like, my jaw kind of hurts. Just joking around. And they're like, well, let's take a look at that. And turns out I got a hairline fracture. So
Damn.
Well, that was kind of.
Well, and that's got to be tough because you had throughout this year, didn't you have 2 fights or near the end of last year weren't you supposed to have a fight in Billings? So throughout the year, you've had like 2 different fights that have pulled out.
yeah, so I had I was supposed to fight Edwin Miranda. No, I don't remember. Miranda, out of Idaho. He backed out 2 days before the fight in
That was
April.
in Billings.
Here in Great Falls.
Okay.
I was supposed to fight under Ryan Ibsen's main event spot.
Okay.
And then I had a fight
remember
back
that
out in
now.
Billings as well. And that was the following month, so March or
Yeah.
May. I think it was May. But yeah, we were just stoked. I was saying yes to anybody at that
Right.
point.
Yeah.
And super heavyweight came calling. So
So you glad to
You
be
answered the
back down?
call.
yeah, I'm super excited. I got 6 weeks before I can get in there and get physical
Yeah,
again.
and I see you don't have any hard wire in your mouth on that.
No, so on hardwire they don't hardwire your mouth shut with a fracture, hairline fracture. They let it calcium over and just kind of heal on its own.
Just be careful.
Yeah, just no physical.
Yeah.
So-
When I got my jaw broke, I had to get a metal plate here, and then, dude, it was.
Yeah.
Oh
gnarly.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it was like 6-7 weeks of like hell.
Yeah.
I had the same thing happen. That's why I got a missing tooth here.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how this one, I didn't even know it was dead. This tooth, 17 years later, it had cracked, like the nerve ending had died from the trauma.
Dude.
It just noped out.
That's exactly what happened to me. I got like an infection in my shit. Just one day I was like, man, my tooth kind of hurts. And then like 2 days later, I was like, I think it's infected. And I went in, yeah, the root had like died. It like
dude, that was
re-healed
gnarly.
itself.
That one sucked too, because that's the only time the dentist's been like, in like 7 to 8 days, it's gonna hurt more because it had an abscess under there, so you drilled into the abscess,
yeah.
and like sucked it out, and then put bleach in it, and then like come back in like a week, 2 weeks, in about 7 to 8 days, pain's gonna ratchet up, and that fucker was right. I hate it when they're right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Damn. It's like we just like
I know.
the same experience. That's great.
I know, yeah, because we both are bad kids, and now we're
Hell yeah.
all
Twin,
reformed.
twinning.
Hell yeah.
Sorry, we're getting gay on each
Nah.
other right,
Yeah,
for a
it's like,
second.
right, we were just making fun of that.
We're just about to make out real quick.
Welcome. in.
Yeah, welcome to our show. Yeah. So how did well, I mean, like I was kind of bringing that up about the fights because that's got to be tough. Like preparing for something for pretty much a year. You know, the full year you've been training at a certain weight, training, you know, to fight someone at that weight, and then just to kind of take one, you know, 2 months. I don't necessarily want to say last second, but to put on that much weight,
Yeah.
you know, in that short amount of time frame, and you know, and prepare for a whole different kind of opponent. You know,
See, so I think that kind of helped me out in the long run though for this situation because I've had 3 different fights. I've had one that went through, the 2 that backed out, but they were all different opponents. So like one was jiu-jitsu, one was straight boxer, and one was a bar brawler, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, it helped me out in the long run because now I know what to look for. But yeah, no, I'm fortunate to be in the situation I'm in. And
Yeah.
No excuses, just lessons and no losing.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just tough. And like, yeah, you trained that whole time and it's like a short fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Oh man, you should be the one in the short fight. Yeah, it sucks.
I know. I've been on both sides of it.
Yeah.
Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I've been on both sides of it.
He's like, I have been. Unfortunately.
like I was telling you, I walked out to this fight and the crowd was just electric.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, you had such support,
Yeah.
especially for the. Well, tell us about your fighter for a cause.
Yeah. So I I took over iFight from Sean Hartel back probably 4 months ago now. iFight is to help abused children and children in need. And everyone has a platform to fight on. So I chose mine in the cage.
Yeah.
But you could fight with your wallets, donations, all that kind of stuff. But we raised a huge awareness. We actually went through Toby's house here in Great Falls. We're going to keep them. We're going to keep going with them. Me and Ryan Ibsen. But anything helps them. So if you're looking to donate to them, just Google Toby's house. They have an address you can send stuff to. And or checks if you want to drop them off front door. They take clothes, toys, all that stuff.
Because they go from all ages then too. Huh?
So they don't go all ages. So and when I started this journey, it surprised me. There's like 7 children's centers here in Great Falls. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Toby's house is 0 through 6.
Okay.
And then all the other ones are older kids.
As it goes,
Yeah.
it scales up.
Yep.
Okay. So, and then why is Toby's house important to you? Like, why is this whole thing, this whole journey that you're going on, why is it important to you? Like, how did you take it on? Like, how did this become a thing in the first place?
So I grew up with my grandparents when I was younger. And I've always been in situations, my family has been, either drugs or, not taking care of the kids properly. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
But what helped me out with this is Sean Hartel had a story about his daughter. It's not my story to tell, so I'm not going to tell it on here. But it was an unfortunate event where he lost his daughter to violence. So that kind of stuck home with me. So I texted him one day. I'm like, hey, man, how do you feel? Because he had just had his heart attack, and he was planning on retiring at this event, and he couldn't. So I took that on for him, and we're running with it. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
So how did you even hear about iFight? Had you heard about Sean and his whole thing, or how did you even hear about this whole thing?
Yeah, so growing up, Sean has been a family friend since I was just maybe 15 years old.
Okay.
I ended up moving out, and me and Sean were actually roommates for a while. And I'd seen all of his iFight stuff, and it was kind of cool. And I'd seen the pictures of his daughter, and that's where I found out about it. And one night I was just thinking in bed because my cousin, she lost her children to drugs and all that stuff. But I texted Sean one night. I'm like, hey, man, how do you feel about me taking this on? Because I've known about it for years. I know what it entails. I know the weight it holds on your shoulder. And he goes, well, I want to have a sit-down talk with you about maybe taking it over. So I went down to Star Radio and we started talking about it. And he says, I was going to say yes to you, but I wanted to know if you knew what you were in for.
Right.
And I'll tell you what, fighting for a cause is a whole different ball game from just fighting.
Yeah.
So, and then we raised, I want to say $3,900 for that shop with a fighter. All the guys from the gym came down. We shopped with families, and it was awesome, dude.
Yeah, I actually had forgotten to ask you, so I'm glad that my wife actually just earlier asked me how that went. I was like, well, I think good.
I didn't hear anything bad.
Right. When I had wanted to show up, but I got back into town at noon from Vegas for that training I was in, and it would just be fun just to, it's just anytime people are spreading that kind of cheer to underprivileged people, anytime people are spreading any kind of goodwill or cheer at any time of the year for any type of person is cool, but it's just it just has a little bit more special meaning, and
each kid had a limit of $290.
That's so cool.
Nice.
That's so cool.
I seen the kids shopping and they were just hyperventilating. They've never been able to do that.
Right.
So your heartstrings just start getting tugged at that point. I took this little boy, I can't name names, but he he was walking around. All he wanted was
We'll call him all Timmy.
Yeah,
I
Timmy.
thought Timmy,
Little
too.
Timmy. He wanted to go down and look at dinosaurs, man, and I spent $290 on just dinosaurs.
Fuck yeah, dude.
It was awesome.
That's so cool. Yeah.
When I was that age, I love dinosaurs too.
And then like your inner child's like, this is awesome.
Yeah. I was walking. See, I go through the toy aisle quite frequently, and I know what my son likes, so he's into that WWE stuff.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was like, what about this stuff? I was like pointing at all that, and the kids are like, yeah. I'm like, I guess I got a weird kid. So I don't
No, when I was younger, I was pretty into WCW. Yeah, dude.
I went to Sturgis '97 with like, and both NWOs and Goldberg were in the thing for a battle royal, and then ended up being the Big Show and Goldberg at the final.
Oh.
And then like I'm like front row because number one, when we got there, it had limited seating, so they turned us away from the gate. Well, they had people at the edge of the fence. I looked at my parents. I'm like 13. They said, "Go meet us back here when it's done."
Oh.
So I jumped the fence, and then I got up there. Now I'm at like outside where all the bikes were. The bikes were right in front of the ring. So I like sneak my way up to there and I watch it for a minute. Then I make friends with this kid, and his dad had one of the motorcycles at the very front fucking row.
Oh.
And so I snuck up to the very front row. And I was so close when Jay Leno threw his water on Hulk Hogan in the final, the water splashed me.
Oh.
So it was like literally one of the defining moments in my childhood.
I'm like reliving that. I remember watching that in my friend's house, and I was just like closing my eyes, reliving.
Yeah, dude.
Like that.
And like, you gotta imagine I'm like 13 and looking up there, and then there's the Big Show's feet in the air as Goldberg jackhammers him. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was amazing. And Sting was there. That was like the red and black Sting.
dude.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm just.
Do you have the
and then
bat?
I don't think he had the bat in there. I also remember they had like Juventud and Psychosis. They did like a 45-minute luchador fight, like where they were on there like doing triple flips like back and forth for at least a half an hour, 45 minutes.
Oh my god.
Like it was insane. That was like pretty awesome. And I'm like, just me being me, like Forrest got my way to the front row because
Yeah.
I can do that.
That's great.
Yes, no ticket.
If
It
you
was
got
fine.
if you got the chance to do that, why not?
Yeah, yeah, that was in like Sturgis '97. I went back and watched it again on YouTube. By the way,
I don't know if it's like too American of me, but I'm like, all right, this luchador shit with all the flipping and stuff.
okay, I'll be honest with
I
you.
want just to see some dude get his face bashed in with the
20
steel chair.
Okay, at 20-minute mark, I felt the same way because it kind of went on. You could tell they were drawing it out for the show.
Well, and like when they throw each other against the ropes, and some dude does the like spin. I don't know how many fancy spinny moves where they go outside the ring and back in. You can see before it's like, all right.
Well, even on that top turnbuckle, and they're like going up there and they're doing like triple, like crazy flips. It was insane. I could never do that. I'd break my neck. And side note, I should have been a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
Not an MMA fighter.
Damn it.
I'm thinking about that too. I'm just like, damn, I got the wrong career.
Hey, low key, like I did hear through the grapevine that they might be having a professional wrestling thing come through, but I haven't heard. I heard that once like 2 months ago, and they were talking about quarter one, quarter two.
Where do you think they'd have that? Probably Billings.
I don't run a circuit through here. You could get away with it. I mean, it's just hard finding like wrestlers.
Dude, don't be fake hyping some shit on.
Dude, if it's for real, Jake and I are going to be on there.
I don't know
Okay?
if you
I don't
know this, but I will go.
Yeah, I will. 100%.
You'll be the wrestler. I can be the manager. I've been doing my showmanship pretty good.
We'll get some like what was that? Undertaker and
Paul. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
I'm just the age Shawn Michaels now.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Dude. So what was it like for you to kind of be able? I mean, some of these kids, they might not have. I'm sorry, we're just like back.
I'm still on the Shawn Michaels.
Dude, I'm just like fucking. I'm
dude,
trying to like reel it back in a little bit.
It's happening, guys. It's happening.
Having
gonna
all
be
this
super-
like childhood nostalgia popping up. But yeah, so like, what was it like? You know, knowing that maybe some of these kids, this was probably some of the only Christmas presents that they would be receiving this year. How did that make you feel? Like, what was Christmas a little hard for you? Being, you know, you said you lived with your grandparents for a little bit. What was that like for you? And
See, my grandparents, they always made sure I was right. But mostly all I wanted for Christmas when I was little was my mom.
right,
You know, and obviously I couldn't get that until an older age. But, you know, watching these kids get all the gifts that they wanted, you'd think it made you feel good. Mm-hmm. It just like kind of broke my heart, you know, thinking like
Contrasted with the like the daily reality these kids have.
because there's some kids that some kids just ran straight to the body care stuff. Like they got face stuff, they got shampoo, they got clothes. I'm just thinking, this is Christmas. And then I thought of the circumstance. I'm like, shit.
Right.
Like, it just breaks your heart a little bit. And then you go to the clothes aisle and I'm like, well, if you want this, you can get it. Like, yeah, I want it. I'm like, well, we can get you a Barbie too. And like, no.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then probably it's kind of crazy to think that at that young of an age, they're realizing not necessarily like they're a financial burden, but just, the financial process, if you will.
What the reality is.
Yeah.
And
then
one thing about those kids is they all knew their parents loved them though.
Yeah.
Which is great because there's a lot of kids that don't.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, at least they can see that their parents are trying,
Right.
not just blowing them off,
No, and I had a niece that stayed with us because mom had to go to mommy's school for a minute. So she's like my daughter. And now her mom is sober and like they have a really good relationship, but it was a journey, seeing, but she never knew she knew her mom that loved her, but she also knew that maybe mommy needed a couple more semesters, but hey, it all works out in the end.
Absolutely.
And that's what I always tell people too, because like you have a relationship with your mother now.
Yes.
And how was that rekindling process for you guys? Because I don't know the whole story. And if I'm digging too deep,
no, you're good.
deflect.
You're good. I got taken from my mom when I was 1. My grandfather took me from her. My mother and my grandfather.
Yeah.
But I always remember her popping up frequently, saying hi, bye, all that stuff. And my brother and sister had still lived with her. So I was always asking myself, like, why doesn't mom want me?
Yeah. Am I not good enough?
Yeah. And I grew up with that mentality. So it fucked me up.
The age difference? What's the age difference between you and your siblings?
So my brother is 22. So 4 years difference there. And then a 4-year difference from her. My little sister is 8 years total from me.
Okay. So yeah, you're like the last wave.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, they're all younger.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So okay. They took you first.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you on the other way.
So yeah, it's there was always that question of why isn't mom taking me, and I finally had the option. My grandparents got into a huge fight, and I remember this very clearly. I was 16 years old. My grandma and grandpa got into a scuffle, how old people do. But I just remember just being so mad, and I called my mom and I said, "Come pick me up." She goes, "Okay, what's going on?" She just started dating this guy at the time, and they lived in a duplex and all this stuff. And I went and stayed the night over there, and I looked at her the next day. I said, "I'm going to live here." And they were in a financial burden because she was cleaning up at that point.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, she said, okay, and I started living with my mom again at 16. So
yeah. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And my son just started living with me full time. I didn't lose him, but moved to Billings with his mom, and then he had the choice. And it's one of those things. I'm her least favorite person, and he's my clone. So,
no.
So it's pretty easy to see how this one turned out.
Yeah,
so.
she's like, go live with your dad.
Well, she said either you can follow all these roles or you can go stay with your dad. And he said, I'm going to go stay with my dad. Deuces.
Well, and it's not like he's a fucking one of the most like well-behaved, like well-mannered kids. Like this isn't me just blowing smoke because Drew's my friend. Like I'm lucky to have a lot of friends with a lot of really cool kids, and like he's a good kid. He's a really good kid. So it's not like he was fucking off and just didn't want to follow the general rules.
Yeah.
No, there was some serious stuff between the two of them built up over years. It's almost like family stuff is difficult.
I'm just gonna say it now. Dads are cooler.
Well, and in that situation though, because he was down in Billings all the time, I got him like one weekend a month, and I just said, I am Disneyland Dad. I have no real choice. How am I going to instill discipline from this far? Yeah. And like the 30 minutes I get to talk, like I'm fighting for every minute, and then kids know. Kids figure things out at the end. Yeah. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep, that's exactly. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm Disneyland Dad because I work all day and I come home and it's bedtime and I'm just like, hey, let's party. Come on,
here's a tickle monster.
And then my wife goes, "You're gonna put him to bed," and within 10 minutes out, and I come in like a superhero.
Yeah. I did that. She's like, "Thank you." Hair's all crazy.
Now you're on the other side of the magic of it, where like when you For me, at least, when I kind of wake up and now it's time to go on a vacation to go do something, you just magically wake up and go do it.
Yep.
And then there's no, you had to plan, and then you loaded the truck. And
I talked a lot about my mom here,
Yeah.
but I never knew my dad. He popped up back into my life. I've never met him until I was 16. Well, not true. I met him once before that. I was in 3rd grade. I was playing. This guy comes up. I was outside, pulls up on the wrong side of the street, rolls his window down and says, "Is Bridget there?" And that was my grandmother. I was like, "Yeah, she's inside." So I ran in, got her, and then I just went off and was a kid. I was going and playing. I was playing in a mud puddle, and I hear my grandma say, "Come over here, Nicholas." I'm like, "Okay." And he looks at me, and he's tattooed up, just got out of prison. And he goes, "I'm your dad." And I looked at him. I'm like, "Oh, cool." And I was like, "Okay." And I ran off.
Yeah, it just had no idea what was really.
Yep.
he just shows up like Ricky Bobby's dad.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then after I started living with my mom, he popped up. I found him in a Starbucks parking lot when I was 16. I was like, "Hey, man." He goes, "Hey, you're my son." I'm like, "Yeah." Like, what the fuck? But it just left a sour taste in my mouth. And every time I see him now, my wife has to hold me back because I will break him.
What? So he had his own kind of demon. So you're saying he was in and out of prison then? Or?
Yeah. So I guess he went to prison right when I was born, and then got out in my third grade. Sorry. And he came back, and it was just all.
Yeah.
See, there was already lost a connection. I didn't know who he was. I thought my grandfather was my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's your positive male figure you grew up with, and thank God you had that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love my grandpa to death. He was a little on the abusive side.
Yeah,
but
that's what it was, though.
that helped me growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it also shows you what you don't want to do as a parent.
Exactly.
Yeah. What? So did you grow up here in Great Falls then?
Yeah,
or?
I was born and raised here. My whole family's from Anchorage, Alaska.
Okay.
So I mean, my roots are here. I've never known anything different. So
Okay. And then, so what brought you into the MMA world? Did you wrestle prior to this? Or
yeah.
what?
Sorry.
No, but did you wrestle before? Were you in school wrestling, or what kind of got you interested in all this?
So my uncle, he had been a wrestler. He took 3 gold medals in the Western Olympics for Greco, freestyle, and folk style. When I turned 7 years old, he says, "Hey, do you want to try wrestling out?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I'd been wrestling ever since, and I'd seen wrestling from afar when I was younger, but he just thought that age was the right age to start.
Yeah.
So I'd wrestled through there. I wrestled all the way through high school. But what got me into MMA is my grandmother. She died August of 22. And the last words, and this is going to sound like something out of a movie, she looks at me, she goes, "I didn't raise a pussy."
Hell yeah, Grandma.
It was like, all right.
That's the most American thing I've heard real quick.
And don't get me wrong, she loved her tequila and cigarettes, so I mean that wasn't far off from the truth. But yeah, those last words stuck with me, and me and Kai have been friends since just little heads, And Kai's like, "Hey, come down to the gym, train, and we'll get you ready." And that's where it all took off.
Yeah. So you had never had any prior experience. You just were just kind of yeah, I'm gonna do this. And,
that was it. I was like, you know what? My grandma didn't raise a pussy. I'm a bad motherfucker, and that last showing didn't prove that.
Well, I mean, every dog has its bad day. You know what I mean? It's not like that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Well, and just that's not, like we said, that, you're not making excuses, but that's not where you fight. You gained a lot of weight for that. I mean, honestly, I tell anyone, it's courageous just to go in the ring. People can say whatever they want, whether that fight was 5 seconds or the full.
Dude, at least you were training and stuff. You took it serious and all that real shit. And it's like, this is one fight. You'll have another one.
Yeah,
right.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And they actually contact me. Fusion doesn't contact each other very well because the matchmaker, Ryan Hall, he calls me 3-4 days ago. He goes, "Hey, you want to fight in Billings?" I'm like, "I'm broken, dude."
No.
I said, "Yeah, but no,
Yeah.
But Yeah, that was funny. Dave's like, I already told him no for you. I was like,
Right.
why is he texting me then?
Just to see if it was a for sure no.
Because he's asked a bunch of people and forgot who said no already.
Yeah.
I know, Ryan.
Well, and it's always interesting to me, like you guys. I mean, that's why it's just. Yeah, I think you guys are so badass because not only are you training and fighting, but I mean, you have 3 kids. You work at Lithia.
Yeah, Lithia.
So it's just like, how do you manage all of that? Like, what does it take for you to balance going to work? You know, and you said you get to be Disneyland dad, but you still have to come home and be a dad and do all that stuff. And how do you balance all of those things?
Hard work.
Yeah.
Commitment.
I got to the point where I'm training early in the morning. I don't get to see my kids wake up. They don't go to school, or like on the days that I don't have to train, I sleep in and don't see them wake up. So it's tough there in that aspect of being around the kids. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to be around them every minute of the day, but it's hard to explain how to juggle all that. It's really tough. You got to prioritize what's important to you, and my kids will always come first. My wife will always come first.
Yep.
But they know daddy's on a mission, and they want to watch. And I said, you want to watch daddy do good, you got to give him a little bit. So
Yeah, and they get it too in their own way. And plus they're little, so if this is what you do, this is just what life is.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure when they get older, they'll be like, wow, my dad did everything for us.
Right.
So I'm not too worried about being an absent father, because I'm not.
Yeah.
No, and that's
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would say that at all, but especially like the kids, like in all the cool movies, the dude's whooping some butt, you know what I mean? So I would assume like they think you're the absolute shit. You know what I mean? So
I remember Gabe was over there. He was super little, and we're at the MMA gym, and that's when it was in the basement over here. And God, I was with McCracken. McCracken dropped me with a liver punch. Or kick. I don't remember. I just remember hitting the floor, and I just hit the ground. And then, Ryan backs off, and I just heard the little pitter-patter of Gabe's feet because he was about 3 or 4. You okay, Daddy? Was that your knee? I was like, no, he got me in the tummy. He's like, you're going to be okay. Get back up. Yeah. And it was like super. Okay. Thanks, buddy. And I was just giggling.
how come in the movies like Rocky and stuff, this makes him stand up, but I don't want to get up right now?
And in Ryan's defense, I had kicked him. I'd done the same thing to him in front of a girl he brought down like 2 days before. So he just laid me out hard.
It's like, dude, I did that in front of a girl. He's like, well, I had to let your son know that this can happen to your
In
dad.
his defense.
And on that point, I think it's very important for your kids to go down there and watch that. So my kids have came down when Coach Sears was putting me through a workout. My kids have watched me at my breaking point, and I think they understand. Like, dad means business, and I think it's an important life lessons for their work ethic as well when they get older. So,
Well, and
You're gonna watch Dad on round 7 of Gauntlets real quick.
one other thing would be good so it doesn't like freak them out. Like if you come home with like a black eye, or they see that, well, especially if you're like training with someone that you're a friend, it familiarizes them with it a little bit more and probably makes it a little bit easier for, it's like Dad's out there fighting his friend.
yeah. No, I remember looking over. I just went through 3-round battle, hard pace. I was ready for 3 rounds, man.
Yeah.
But I was going hard pace, and I was leaned over a garbage can puking, and my daughter goes, I want to do gymnastics.
Yeah, I think I'm good on this.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
So were your kids at the fight?
No, I didn't want them watching that just in case something bad did happen.
Yeah.
Because they're still pretty little. What's the oldest one?
Oldest is 7.
Yeah, so maybe like 12,
Yeah.
10.
And don't get me wrong, my son, he's 4, almost 5, but he's all about it. I got him a boxing gloves, boxing bag, all that stuff. But he's just like, I want to fight. And I'm just like, I don't think you do. I was just thinking about it to myself.
All right, we're doing wind sprints now.
Yeah, torture them with all the terrible
You gotta do
cardio
this.
first.
Yeah.
Just give them like a 10. Now you're doing steering wheels. Go.
He actually,
So that weight came off pretty easy then?
yeah, no,
Even during the holidays, huh?
after, I've never eaten so much. So Wayne Morin got me hooked up on a plan where I was maintaining weight. And obviously I went out and put a bunch on and I was training hard still, but I was eating more.
Yeah.
And, I just felt
It's
lethargic but what do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a trade-off. I think you should have just stayed lighter and been quicker on your feet.
I thought
Be the matador.
I thought the same thing until I took that shot in that fight and I felt his weight on my back. If I was 30 pounds less, dude, I wouldn't have recovered from that.
Yeah, dude, just even as simple as like peeking out when he's like on a failed shot, just that extra weight pushing on you.
Well,
is tough.
there was only one voice I heard, and it was actually Kai's, because I was on that side of the ring, and I heard Kai yell knee slide, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just knee slide.
Yeah.
I went to go knee slide, and the weight got heavier.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's like you thought he was on top of you, and
Yeah.
then he really was on top of you at that point.
Right. Yeah. That's freaking horrible.
Yeah, you can't game plan for that. You can. I went against the game plan completely. I threw my leg kick in. I hit him with a 2, and I got bull rushed. I was like, oh, this wasn't part of the fucking game plan.
Yeah.
Right. So what were you trying to do as far as like managing that fight? What was like kind of your, now that we're post fight now, I suppose you can talk about what were you trying to come in and do in that fight?
I was gonna wear him out, and if I wouldn't have taken that shot down, I would have. I went against all the game plan, and went to where I was comfortable in wrestling, and Dave preached it with me. Keep him standing for the first round. Keep it standing.
Yeah, until he gets tired.
And until I, caught that 6-piece combo, I panicked.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, I don't have anyone coming at me like this at the gym, because everyone at the gym is 205 and less.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have that weight, which is fine. I don't need it. I got guys that are speedy.
Yeah, but they're not going to be aggressive like that. They're not going to wade through the fire.
Well, and just their punches aren't going to be landing, like it might not be that dude's throwing super fast combos, but just the weight, just the power and the strength behind it, no matter how strong those guys are, they're just
and they have the under 205 crowd, it doesn't want to wade into his 295 strength.
Right.
They're not going to walk into it as a 310 330 fighter.
right.
See, and that's one thing down in the gym is I'm not in the game to hurt my teammates.
Yeah.
I don't want to throw punches hard. I'll flash them out there and I'll touch them with it. But I got hit with a jab by the big boy, and that was different.
Yeah.
Like you get hit by a big, I can only imagine what they feel.
Yeah, and that's what I noticed even because I fought at 170, and now I'm like 220, 230, depending.
So you're
on
my
how good
weight
of a-
class.
Yeah, between well, I'll go down to 205, and if I ever fought again, it'd be like, okay, if I ever fought again, it would be I'm at the event, this guy pulled out last minute. I said, okay, well, I'm not cutting any weight, and they're gonna let me fight right now, and he's got to be a can. And then I'm gonna just hit him with a karate kick to the head and win. That's
there
it.
it is.
That's it.
And that's the only way it's gonna go.
I don't fusion or that's the other one that
There's no way it
And,
can go.
Wesley, if you're watching, I'll do that at your show too.
Wesley actually, I talked to Wesley. God, that had to have been 6 months ago. That was he had been talking about maybe having me come over to there, but I'd never heard of him, so I'm like,
Yeah,
He's good.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a real good dude.
Yeah.
So I'm taking.
I mean, I don't know him super well, but just all my interactions with him have been nothing but like positive and super fun. And
So my first show that I was like doing my photography stuff because I thought I needed to be a content creator, and he's in the back running mitts for someone, and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I take a picture?" He's like, "Yeah, but just don't take my soul." So then I sent him the picture in a DM, and I said, "Here's your soul back."
yeah, sorry.
That's awesome. Like so he
awesome.
won me over from that moment.
So what are the future plans then? Is it like hard to find someone in this like your weight division to fight, or because like you said, you had a couple people pull out?
Well,
and I mean, you are still pretty fresh to
Yeah.
this, so
it was hard to find someone because they've all seen the wrestling background, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But ever since I lost it seems like it's easy to get a fight now. Everyone's like, "Oh, I want to
You
fight
said
that
now
one
you're
guy."
sandbagging.
Right.
It's
Perfect.
like, fucking bring it on.
Yeah.
dude. Like,
You just go full Khabib with this and sandbag the shit out of you. You'll be 35-0 in no time.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I look at it like everyone judges you on your loss. They're like,
course.
"Oh man, I'm gonna fight this guy. He's a can." It's like I am far from a can. I fucking promise you.
well, yeah, well, and
And a whoop ass.
Well, and so do you think a little bit of it was a little bit of like nerves and excitement in the fight, or you just kind of, like you said, you just got rocked a little bit from those?
I got rocked right away, dude, and I think that's what it was because and I know you probably hear this all the time, but I had nothing.
Right.
Like I stepped in the cage, I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, I've been in a cage with Ryan Ibsen and down at the gym. Like,
Right.
whatever. This guy don't hit harder than Ryan. He does.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He don't hit as fast.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. But no, and I underestimated that dude. I thought he was gonna be slow. No, hell no.
Not in that bull rush, not right away.
Right.
That was
No.
kind of his plan. But had you survived that bull rush, he was done.
Yeah. Well, like I said, man, he got up and he's
Tyson.
breathing heavy, and I was like, man, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think. I mean, he did put in on some weight. You said post after weighing in, but it's like even if he was at 350, he dropped to 305, and then was 325, 330 the next day. It's like that's still 20 pounds lighter than he was prior. It's like he probably was feeling like Speedy Gonzalez,
That's
when he was
exactly
at
it.
305, 310 or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Well,
And
it's
you-
like Brock, like you have to have that athleticism to keep that up, and it's going to be hard. Anything over at that weight, just moving it, you got to think about like your heart having to do it.
Right, all that
like so
blood
much to
pumping and-
fuel your lungs. I mean, it doesn't scale equally with size. So
Yeah. No, I told Dave right after the fight, after I found out all my teeth were broke, I was like, I'm not fighting super heavy again.
yeah.
He goes, fair enough.
Well, maybe it would. Maybe once like Ruben Roundstone gets back, maybe you could train with him a little bit. I don't know what that he fights at usually.
He's heavy.
Yeah.
I trained with him for that April fight.
Okay.
I went down there.
Oh
and
yeah,
trained with
that
him.
okay. In Helena.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yep.
right.
And we trained a little bit. And he's a solid jiu-jitsu guy. You know, he's always down to do whatever it takes. I admire him.
Right.
He's a fighter, especially for his baby boy, man. That
Atlas. Yeah.
yeah, that's terrible.
But I think I seen something. They're getting ready to come back to Montana. Did I see that?
I think they
Yeah.
went to the Nick. I've been following it. I think they just got out of that big surgery on the heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think they got sent back to Salt Lake.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I seen he
Yeah.
was getting ready to do some traveling. I couldn't remember what I thought of him either way, but
Yeah.
yeah. So it's good that well, something like that, he does BKFC, so it's good for you to kind of take shots from someone who is closer towards what you're trying to fight
Absolutely. And my end goal for this thing was to get down to 205, and I just
Damn, you trying to fight me? What the fuck, dude?
hell man,
how tall are you?
Huh?
How tall are you? Like,
6'2".
Yeah, 205 would just be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Heavyweight, you fight those big monsters.
I look at it this way. DC was a heavyweight, and he's 5'11". Dude, like,
I know.
he's the
Yeah.
greatest heavyweight of all. Oh,
Yeah, we can go with that one.
yeah. We'll go with that.
But DC was a specimen, though. Just what it is.
Who?
Daniel Cormier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just like,
Sorry, I'm not in like that yet. Honestly.
And I
you're
would
our
say
bare,
top
you're, you're our
three
bare knuckle
heavyweight.
correspondent. Harris and I are the MMA guys.
Yeah.
I'm the delivering smiles correspondent.
He's great at intros and outros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to be good at something.
I love John Jones, but I thought Daniel was going to beat him that last time around. And
Which is tough with me with Jones. Anytime you get a PED type thing, like
Yeah.
it's hard for me to put you in the GOAT conversation.
yeah,
It's just, but
you've
John
been,
Jones is.
You've
John
been
Jones.
great for 3 decades. It's like I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah, I know. It's like a tough one. It's like, did you even really need it?
So did he
Yeah.
test positive like before a fight or like in between for recovery shit, or what was like the actual accusation then?
Like we need to watch a mini documentary on John Jones
I'm
and
down
USADA. Like between that and the coke use and beating up his wife and like all that.
See, that would be more where I would have a hard
Look,
time.
okay.
I mean, not necessarily the coke usage. I mean, hey, kids, I'm not condoning it, but the wife thing.
Okay,
maybe.
but I'm also the.
I don't
guy
know
that-
the situation.
Okay, I'm also the guy that like I don't like the cancel culture thing. If my quarterback was a spokesman for ISIS, as long as he threw touchdowns, I don't.
yeah, as long as my fantasy team got 50 points a week.
I don't care about their personal life.
Yeah.
But
Well, I don't know the full situation. What took place with the wife? I have no idea. I've never looked.
yeah,
at any
like
of
I said,
that
it's like his
shit,
own mini
but-
documentary.
Yeah.
It's just talent, and he comes from that family of studs. So
Yeah.
it's like 2 football players, and then he's a UFC star, and the brothers were beating him up when he was a kid. So still kind of beat
I
him
wonder how
up.
family gatherings are now when they get
Mm-hmm.
lippy.
No, but yeah, I was sorry, I wasn't trying to be a dick, but I've had a few people say that they don't like it because of the PED shit. I'm like, well, not because of like the spousal abuse. Well, I mean, yeah, that's bad too, but like he took steroids, like he's a cheater. I'm like,
See, and you know,
like,
steroids weren't a bad thing until what 1980.
Okay, the only thing I have,
I would say maybe even a little later, like
yeah,
the
a little bit
90s
later,
was
because
when
then they had the whole hearing
with baseball. I think baseball really got it ramped up.
Yeah.
Or the Olympics kind of in
They
the 90s.
had
I think, were
hearings in
starting
like
to-
the early 90s, late 80s with
Yeah.
the WWE stars with
Oh,
Hulk Hogan
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
it was a big deal
That's
then
right.
because they're trying to figure out how to regulate it.
Right.
Because it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Like when you talked to Arnold back in the day, he said that's what we all did. Like I was taking this, this, and this. And honestly, for like weightlifting and bodybuilding and stuff like that, I don't really care. If you want to juice yourself up, that's fine. But for combat sports where you could literally hurt
But-
another human being,
Yeah.
like you should probably not do that.
What's crazy with the WWE is that I don't even think they were like really pissed about like their like personal health. They just didn't like the antics of the WCW and WWE.
Okay, so-
and that was like a way for them to kind of attack like that whole thing.
Yes,
I didn't-
yes and no, but like when it's institutionalized for you to have to, like for you as
Like it's
the
a
rest-
part of your requirement
Yeah, no,
for
so
work.
now-
It's like
look,
taking hella
now I
steroids.
have to do this, and not only that, it's institutionalized. Well, Vince would know the guys that would
Right.
come and do it, and so then it's like a whole nother. I have to do this. I have to put myself in this, which is no longer a choice.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that the government didn't choose to go after basically the slave labor, like how all of that was ran, the payment, and like if they
Yeah.
got injured, and like just
Yeah.
how they were treated as basic human beings. Like they weren't concerned about any of that.
Yeah, here's steroids because that's a talking point.
Yeah.
Because it was a big talking point.
I think they should have an Olympics for how many steroids you can take and who's the
Dude,
best at
I-
Dude,
asterisks.
I've listened to a lot of like conversations where people are like, fuck it, just let him do a bunch of steroids and like let's literally see who
Let's
the
see
best
who the best
is. The best.
you know?
Like this dude
is
is
peak male and female performance.
yeah,
Like,
these people are jacked out of their minds.
Cybernetics,
Yeah.
EDs, just a
Well, let's just start with the juice first, and then we'll worry about the robots later.
you know, I
We're there.
seen
Thank you,
something
Elon.
where they want to add video games into the Olympics. I'm just looking at that. I'm like,
Well,
I don't
and
know. It's like golf.
they have like their own.
That's true.
They have like their own like esports and stuff like that. I just like. I don't know. It's like obviously you have to like be willing to change with the times, but just some things don't need to be messed with. Is at the risk of sounding like a boomer on that end of that.
like,
But it's just like, can't they have like? Why don't they start kind of their own like gaming Olympics where it's like involved in different like genres of games? I don't know. Like I guess you kind
gotta
of
let these Zoomers feel included.
Right.
I'll cry.
right.
or you know, and another thing is, why don't they include MMA into the Olympics? You
They
know,
tried that once, and that was
did they?
No, it was like Greek did that pancreatron. That's where they fought naked and stuff, and it was like MMA back in the day.
That's where anal was created.
well, no, that's like some of those old paintings. That's like from the Olympics. That was,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was literally.
With the vase, yes, that's
yeah,
with some
And
of the
that- one that
controversy
like,
this
guy,
year.
like,
That's what
holding
they
his
were.
dick as he's getting thrown. I said, which is a legitimate technique with no rules, by the way.
That's where the phrase "twist his
dick.
dick
I mean-
off."
Yeah.
It's painted on the vase, dude.
Yeah, I mean, this is
history, dude. This is basic
This is
science and
great.
history here. At this point, you know.
No, yeah. And then there's like the stories. What was that one? The guy at the end, if you got a tie, it came down to like a blow to blow. You could do one strike at a time. And then one of the guys did like the 5-fingered punch and it killed the guy. Right. And then they disqualified him because they said it was 5 strikes, 1 for each finger.
Oh
Yeah.
God!
Yeah. So the guy who died won the gold medal, which is
Yeah.
congratulations.
They're like, I guess,
Congrats.
they like raise his hand.
Yeah, it's just, they were like,
Congrats! Enjoy it.
So what is allowed? Like as far as like, there's wrestling obviously in the Olympics, and then is it Muay Thai?
judo was in there.
Yep.
I thought they had sambo in there. Taekwondo was in there.
Do you think they don't have it in there because that's just so much to regulate as far as like different fighting?
We'll go look at boxing and how, like, look at Olympic boxing compared to like boxing, and how are you going to point? It's all points.
Okay.
So it would be almost like PFL.
Right.
That would be the best way to do it. Is like how the PFL points, everything adds up, and then you win on this, and it's just less exciting.
Yeah, it's just makes a headache at that point.
I mean, they have they don't have it in the Olympics, but combat sambo is probably the closest thing you'd get to it. Like, and that's another thing. Like Putin is a grand. What do they call that? Something champion of sport in combat sambo.
Yeah.
And he's like a KGB agent and all that fun stuff.
Dude, don't fucking spread your Russian propaganda here, okay? This is America.
I think they just give Dana White free reins at the Olympics for what he wants to do for that. You know?
That would be nuts. That'd be so cool.
John Jones.
Now in the long jump, John Jones is the greatest long
That would
jumper.
be kind of sick, actually, to have like an Olympics and just like have like people cross fucking play different shit.
Just imagine like the runner trying to swim.
Here's George St. Pierre doing figure skating.
Oh man,
I don't know about you, but I'm taking Khabib in the 100-yard dash.
I'm taking him in bobsled.
Oh man, I wonder what's happening with Khabib because the Russians did seize a lot of his assets because they had a terrorist attack happen there, and one of the fighters, the guy would cross train through all the place, and he came through Khabib's gym, and then they seized all Khabib's assets. So I was wondering if Khabib's next fight was going to be the UFC or Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is a wild. It's a crazy world because Khabib got. That's why you don't see Khabib is because when he started winning, number one, Russia, Putin gave him this big thing, and then all the Saudis gave him basically anything he ever wanted. So why would you go train 7 days a week in the mountains when you have like, golden toilets? You know, like
Kind of like Connor, but he doesn't have nothing now. So, well, he does, but
yeah, he's got plenty, but. Same thing, you make your millions. So are you gonna want to have that hardship? Do you want it? And you can tell.
And I look at the UFC sometimes, and I look at all these champions that were champions, and then they never make another run at the belt. And I've always asked myself why, but it's money.
Yep.
They don't have to anymore. They don't have to have that drive. So it's like
they don't want to hurt like that.
Well, and they destroyed themselves long enough, and maybe
you got guys that are 29 that aren't fighting anymore because they won a championship. You know, it's like
now they're working at this gym. They're comfortable. They made their pay-per-view buys. Yeah, they're good to go.
Yeah,
fine. I don't blame them.
So with all the BKFC fighters in your gym, are you looking at eventually maybe making a run at that, or?
No, not a chance.
Yeah.
I see them heavyweights in the BKFC, and my boxing is subpar.
Yeah.
I'll box you. I don't care. I'll take a punch, but in order to win in BKFC, you got to be more than subpar. So
yeah,
especially now, it's just getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
Now that it's gotten notoriety.
Well, it's not a bar fight anymore. When they first started, it was just a bar fight.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of bar fight to BKFC, but it's like. Not to take away from the skill required, but you kind of have to be that guy that don't give at the bar. You kind of have to be that guy to be good.
When I feel like that shit kind of, I don't want to say it gets weeded out too quickly because obviously sometimes they have to fill cards up with just stuff.
Yeah, someone in that area.
Well, when you're having a fight every week with 12 plus fights, it's kind of hard to find that many
and they're
studs.
all over too. Especially now that Europe's kind of waking up to it. I'm really excited to see what kind of Europe and
when I feel like that whole area holds like a deep history and like the whole
fist pugilism and prize fighting. That's been a whole thing.
Well, do you know what happened with the Prospect series? I haven't really heard much about that.
I'll be honest with you. I kind of saw it when they did the days in shift, and then I don't know. Like I paid for one subscription and it didn't transfer over. I kind of stopped paying attention to everything they were doing.
Yeah.
I got to get back into it. No excuses. It was really nice seeing them come in Billings because that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was a great experience. And this last weekend that last fights here was pretty cool. Being up close with Leo and Sam fighting.
Yeah.
Dude, that was crazy, dude. I'm right by the judges stand.
Oh.
And Leo's, because they're like literally like right up. I'm trying to take the photos. Like they're right there. And Leo's blood got all over, or maybe Sam's, I don't know. Oh, like, the judge's card where they're like marking it for the round. It was like just covered in blood. It was probably one of the most metal things I'd seen.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And like they were like literally on top of me. Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say Leo's a legend around these parts, but for Sam to come into his hometown and do that, I'm like, whoa.
Well, and Sam was losing.
Yeah.
And Sam was losing until like that one uppercut, and I thought he broke his jaw. It looked like he broke Leo's jaw until they cleaned him up. Then I was like, okay.
Yeah, he's good.
Man, just how Leo was like, when you get your jaw broke a lot of times, like how they breathe and how they check their jaw. And Leo was kind of doing that.
Yeah.
But, fuck. That's a tough son of a bitch right there.
Yeah, that's like two powerhouses. Like,
Oh my God.
I remember like a year ago saying how fun that would be to see those two fight.
I know. First bare knuckle fight. I imagine they put some more of those on. They are pretty exciting.
Well, they're putting one on in Billings.
Yeah.
A bare knuckle one?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
I thought we're going to add some. Well, it's whatever puts butts in seats.
exactly.
That's exactly how Terrell is.
You just put a main event in the BKFC on a co-main on Fusion.
Yeah,
Right,
That's
right.
wild.
They're making some big moves, and it sounds like this next year with Fusion is going to be super interesting and a lot of fun. So
Hey, do we have anybody fighting on? Do you guys have anybody fighting in Billings?
No, the only fight we have coming up is Lance in Salt Lake on the 25th.
Defending his title.
Yep,
What weight's that? 125?
125.
he's been kicking some ass, dude. That's been
Oh,
really
that guy
fun
did
to
not
watch.
want a piece of. He thought he wanted a piece of Lance, and then he did not want a piece of
Yeah,
Lance.
Lance overpowered him in every way possible.
Yeah,
and the
that's
kid,
awesome.
I was next to the cage, and you could see the kid, the fear in his eyes
Yep.
when Lance threw him down and told him to stand up.
Yeah,
He's
he's
just like,
well, this isn't going how I planned.
yeah. And now
Yeah.
Lance has a stud in Salt Lake. The 135 pounders champion is cutting down to his weight class to fight him for that belt.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be super fun.
Well, that's good though. That's
Gotta-
like
It's gotta be a shitty feeling. I was just gonna say when someone like throws your ass to the ground, it's like obviously overpowering you, and then it's just like, come on, like
Yeah.
come back up
And
here.
he did that 3 times.
Yeah.
And the kid, each time his soul broke a little more. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy
he's
shit.
like, stay down. He'll call it.
Right.
If you don't want to get up, don't get up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Actually, I remember I told the guy to quit when I was winning the fight. And I just said, just give up then. And then he tapped. I said, just give up. I
He
was-
just taps the ground.
Dude, blood was going everywhere. And I said, it was funny.
So what was it like? So this was your first official fight, right? You've never had any other fights. What was it like coming out, and having like everyone obviously is so proud of you and so happy that just you did what you did. It's got to be tough, It's a little too much for me just going to those fights and having a bunch of people want to talk to me. I'm sure it was insane for you, like as a fighter, and you had a lot of people there supporting you. What was that kind of like, having to come out and just face the music in a negative way, but it didn't come out like you did, like you'd wanted it to. And,
It was nothing but support. I didn't roam around too much.
right.
I went to my locker room, got yelled at by my coaches, whatever.
Yeah.
You went against the game plan, you dumb fucker.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's a good gut check. It's not, and then Dave, Dave loves you, and
Oh,
Sean
was it?
loves you.
Yeah.
Those guys love you, so it's not for anyone that's listening, it's not a place of
No,
guilt.
yeah, he's
No,
like,
no.
you fucking had it. You just would have done this.
if you would have just done what I told you.
Yeah.
No, as soon as I got under the guy, it clicked. I'm like, this is why he didn't want me to do this. All right.
At this moment, he knew he
like,
fucked up.
And like Dave said, we all won and we all learned. No one lost. And I can definitely say that's for sure, man.
Right.
I didn't
Even in a
lose. I
victory.
learned because I will now listen to my coaches. So.
Yeah. Well, and some of that shit seems cliche, but that's just the only way you can honestly look at it. Like, it's a cliche for a reason, because that it just is a very common thing. It's like you can either be negative about it or you can try and move forward. Yep. And it sucks to have to learn a negative lesson, but we've all been there.
Exactly.
So
Direct negative
Yeah.
reinforcement.
No, but I mean the support was awesome. Everyone says good job, and I was like, thank you. You know, it was all surreal to me. I didn't have any comments. I didn't want to talk to anybody.
yeah.
And then I hammered 12 Modelo's, and
Hell yeah,
That's-
dude.
Hashtag recovery.
yeah, well, my mouth was bleeding, and I was like, man, I wonder if alcohol helped.
Hell yeah, well.
You should have went right to whiskey.
Right. Yeah. And that especially if you have a cut, it's a disinfectant as well. So.
Well, I had some cran and vodka, so I hope that
There you
works.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
It worked for the Russians, so why
Yeah,
not, right?
exactly. So, yeah.
Okay, so how much longer do you have with this no contact?
5 weeks, and then I got to go get some teeth yanked, and
And then you're probably another 3 or 4 after that.
So, are you going to have them like capped, or are you just having them straight up pulled?
get out of there.
Damn.
Yeah, it is. Because it probably broke low.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I already had fillings in them, and they broke around the fillings.
Oh, no.
Yep, I've had that. That's what happened back here. That's
Yeah.
why I have no teeth in the back.
So I told my wife, I said I'm just gonna get them yanked, and when I'm older, I'll go get some fake ones.
Yeah.
Go to Mexico, dude. Like what costs you $7,000 a tooth? It's like $4,000. It pays for the hotel and all the implants.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they're like legitimate doctors. It's like a
Yeah.
resort. This is what they do.
Wow. I asked the doctor, and I thought it was kind of cliche, but I'm like, do you think stem cells would help my jaw? And they go, no. But I guess doctors don't like stem cells.
No, I was gonna say in the U.S. I don't think you can.
We can talk.
Can you do it in the U.S.?
You got to talk to a different set of doctors.
Tom Brady can, but
And
if you know the right person, yeah, stem cells are heavily frowned upon in the U.S. just because of they use
work.
Well, and because they use, I think it has to do with the unborn
they
fetuses, right?
No, so the new
I
stem
fucked up
cell
in
stuff. Yeah, you're thinking you're like a couple decades past.
Okay. Well, that's what I was like.
You boomer.
I remember that was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, no, and so now it's like all this stuff you can, but like again, you got to talk to a different set of doctors. You got to talk to like the sports doctors, not your family doctor, because your family doctor's got a different agenda. So you got to,
Right.
and it's all agenda.
He's like, no, that won't help, but these Oxycontins will totally help you.
Well, I mean, I was on Sesame Street with them.
Yeah. When I was after my surgery, I was the same way. I didn't like a couple weeks later, my grandma called me and said, "Hey, did I talk to you after I had a surgery?" "Oh yeah, I talked to you." I was like, "Oh, that's good because I'm not quite sure what the hell I talked to, Grandma."
You're like, man, I should call my ex from high school and see if I talked to her.
So what's kind of the big plan? Are you hoping to? Is there a fight like someone that you're looking forward to that you know that's kind of making some moves in Fusion right now, or what's the next move for you? What are you looking to do?
The next move is to heal, obviously.
Yeah.
And like I told Terrell, man, I'll fight anybody. I'm not scared of anybody. I'm not, it's just not in my nature to say no.
Right.
Unless, I'm hurt.
Amen.
But yeah, everyone excites me. I just want to get back in there, but whoever they give me when I'm healed up, I'm good with. So.
Is there anyone in like Montana that's kind of around your weight division that you know of, or?
Man, everyone that they've gotten me other than Chase that I just fought has been out of state.
Okay, so that's what I just didn't know. And
I can't really think of a lot of heavyweights right now.
yeah,
I guess they got a 4 or 5-0 guy that's fighting on this card in Billings, amateur. And Terrell said something about calling me out, but
Yeah.
why would you want to? It just makes you look bad calling out an 0-1 guy.
Right.
You're
Right.
5-0. So
Right. Yeah.
fucking fight you. It's like, all right, dude.
all right, dude.
I guess, yeah. Me? Terry? Me.
You look pretty big.
Yeah.
And that was and Terrell let me know that before the fight. He goes, "Hey, I got a 4-0 guy or 5." I can't remember what his record was, but he had no.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a no, and it was
Yeah.
on the loss side was a 0.
Yeah. And he goes, "Hey, just so you know, are you okay if this guy calls you out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. Have him call me out. I don't care." But yeah, that's where we're at. So
So I feel like we're kind of getting to that hour mark over there. Paris, is there anything that you want to throw in over here?
No, I was just gonna ask what was next, but you already asked that. So we're good to go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about event-wise. So January 18th is Fusion's next one in Billings.
Yeah, and Shay's gonna fight on that.
Oh yeah, Shay's fighting that guy.
Yeah.
And that guy's a good fighter too. God, he said he's like 14-2 or something like
he's
that.
well-rounded.
Well, then I don't think they announce anything till like March, right, or April.
Yeah, I think sometime in March is their next card.
Yeah,
They take a couple months off.
yeah. I couldn't remember when they announced if it was like February or March when they kind of announced their whole thing. So. Yeah, well, I mean, if you don't have anything else you really want to add, I got to go do some more family stuff with Libby's family and all that.
Being all Betty Homemaker and traditions and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah. All day, every day, dude. Christmas time.
How about that Smith and Rogue, man?
Yeah. No, it's been fun. Like, I've had a lot of people say nice shit to me, but it's literally fucking... All I had to do was wear clothes and stand there. I did nothing other than that. Paris and Smith and Rogue did all the hard work with the clothes, so...
How did you get hooked up with that?
Him.
Paris.
Yeah.
Right on.
It's like-
You're just like, hey, I know a guy with a beard. You know?
Yeah, no. So I do a lot of their photo and video shoots for them, and so yeah, I was trying to think. They're like, oh, we want something mountainous, and like, because it was snowing up there, they're like, want something mountainous with some snow to like kind of go with the season. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, my wife's family's got a cabin up there. We can go chop some wood and do some stuff up there. And I was thinking Max, because Max is like always in the shoot.
Yeah.
And are always in our shoots. He's like our stunt guy for snowboarding. He's badass.
That's awesome.
And then I was trying to think. I was like, who has a beard and would be good? I was like, oh, Jake. And you killed it, man. So I appreciate you coming out and doing that. That was a lot of fun.
Do they pay you?
They hooked me up with some free gear, and then I got a free lunch. And Paris was being nice. He's like, "Oh, I guess you could probably take this vest." And I was like, I didn't want to create any issues for him, so I'm gonna get hooked up with a nice little discount from them. But they gave me the pants, the flannel jacket, the beanie, and then the gloves. So, I mean, I would assume that was like well over $200. I think the shirt alone is like what, like $75-$80,
Something like that.
yeah. I mean, it is a little more expensive, but their stuff is super nice, super warm. I mean, it was chilly up there, it was snowing, and like that stuff kept me, and I just sound like a walking fucking promo for
I was
them
like, dude,
right
the pictures already sold it.
yeah, but
Smith and Rogue, if you're listening, make me a pair of boxing gloves.
yeah, oh, dude, that would be kind of hard actually, with some like mountains and shit. Yeah, some like fake leather looking
Oh,
ones.
man.
No, they use real leather and everything. They make it probably out of bison leather or something.
But I just
badass.
meant as far as like a
Right.
boxing glove, I
Yeah.
didn't know how like 12 real leather would be.
No,
If
they would
They're like,
definitely
no,
do.
real leather or nothing.
They
We're
would do
not-
definitely real leather. I think
be
bison
dope.
leather would be badass.
That'd be
Too tough
sick.
though.
Yeah, no, it was just a super fun opportunity, and then I wasn't expecting kind of the love and support from just anytime. I feel like I say that a lot. I just am constantly overwhelmed, if you will, just by the
Absolutely.
love and support. So
You're kind of popular and stuff. I don't know if you knew that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it was a lot of fun, and it was just out. When it's funny for me because it's just like, hey, just don't look at the camera, and I'm like, hey. Don't do this.
I told him don't look at the camera unless I tell you to.
Yeah.
That's right.
When I just told them, when we were taking the photos at the Operation Santa shit yesterday, I was like, I want to start doing photography literally so I can just always walk around doing the Austin Powers thing. Like, yes, no.
Dude, they do it though. They buy it.
Yeah.
They do.
We love
But
it.
no, it was fun. And I mean, I just constantly, I don't know. It's funny, like some of the like love and support that I see for people, oh, thank you for doing this. Or, I constantly am like allowed to be involved with really cool stuff because I have cool friends that do cool stuff, like the iFight stuff. People are like, oh, that's so cool that you did that. It's like, well, my friend is doing it. I just had to talk to the our sponsor in the union, and it's just like I'm just like a conveyor of other people or a messenger of like your other people's hard work. So I just want to say to people, thank you for all the love, but it's just a lot of the time it's these guys that are putting in the time and the effort and energy. So I just want to make sure that people understand that it's you guys doing like the real shit. So
We appreciate you,
yeah,
dog.
always, dog. One, I was excited because Mario, you were talking about, and I talked to Mario a little bit, just super quick, but it sounds like the union wants to move forward with working with you guys in the iFight.
Oh, sweet.
And yeah, because he's like, oh, maybe we should hitch our wagon to a fighter or two. And I was like, are you saying you want to sponsor some people? Or, I fucking know plenty of people.
Yeah.
But we,
I'm first, Mario.
but we're just super interested in like the community aspect, and they know how interested I am in being community forward. So it sounds like they want to work with you guys in the future. So I'm excited about that.
Well, shout out to Local 82.
Carpenters Union,
Carpenters
baby.
Union.
So yeah. But yeah, now that I kind of sucked my own dick for just a minute. Well, on that note, this is the To the Ropes podcast, boys. Thank you again to everyone. The support in the short amount of time that we have been doing this has been phenomenal. Obviously, the last episode was a big one, but I feel like every episode has been popular and fun in its own way. And I feel like it's only going to get better with the new year coming. So just thank you to everyone for your love and support, and just keep being awesome out there. We'll see you guys soon.
Oh, one more thing. How can people help with the iFight? Where can they donate? Where can they find it? All that good stuff.
Yeah, so iFight, we don't have a page or anything yet, but you can locate me on Facebook, Nick Nordell. You can send me a message, donate to me, or you can go straight to Toby's house and you can donate to them. Again, they take cash, check, toys, clothes, food, all that kind of stuff. And then also sponsorships. If you sponsor me through any of these fights, all sponsorship money goes straight to Toby's house. So that's a good way to get your business out there, and we'll run it.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful cause, so let's help them out there. So, all right, this is the Through the Ropes podcast. We'll see you soon.